It's where you go to bike, hike, and stroll miles of pathways over more than 7,000 acres of parkland. A place to go explore rivers and fish their bountiful waters. Natural places to go marvel at magnificent wildlife while you play outdoors and go wander charming communities. Find all this and more at Destination Downriver. Give it a go.
Welcome to the Destination Downriver podcast and vodcast. I'm now can officially add. So excited about that. My name is Ron Hinrichs. I'm your host, and I'm also, should mention, the president of the Southern Wayne County Regional Chamber, which is Downriver's premier business membership organization. And I want to welcome you again to our May Destination Downriver podcast. This month we're featuring trails, which are a Downriver catalyst for good health, the economy, and the environment. And I'm so thrilled to say that today's podcast and vodcast is presented by our good friend Kathy Kane at Market Insights. And our vodcast, also known as the video portion of today's production, is produced and sponsored by with the help of our friends at the City of Taylor's Media Center. So a huge shout out to Carl Zymak and his team at the City of Taylor. We're also sponsored by the generous support of Greg Kowalski at Allegra Marketing, Print, and Design in Wyandotte, an amazing chamber member and a great partner. Greg, again, thank you so much for your tremendous support of our monthly Downriver podcast and Destination Downriver podcast and vodcast. So for strategic marketing and print communication with measurable results, let Allegra assist you with print, mail, design, and signs. They're located at 3557 Fort Street in the beautiful city of Wyandotte. And you can call Greg and his team at 734-288-8994. And by the way, tell them that your friends at Destination Downriver sent you and brought you there. So let's go ahead and begin with today's podcast and vodcast. The Downriver region of Southern Wayne County has been misunderstood and maligned after years of heavy industry dominated both our riverfronts and our communities. Over the past 25 years, that trajectory has shifted from Rust Belt to Green Belt, as Downriver has undergone what many describe as a near miraculous transformation. In addition to water quality improvements and the resurgence of wildlife species, land and water trails have played a major role in this metamorphosis. According to national research, the economic impact of comprehensive trail systems has been proven to be a catalyst for bringing new businesses and economic life to communities, which is such an important point, especially coming from the president of our region's Chamber of Commerce. We're always so focused on the economic impact of things, and we're so excited to be talking about that and the economic impact of our downriver trails and waterways today. Trails encourage growth on main streets while promoting outdoor recreation and fostering community revitalization. They help protect air and water quality, create jobs, and support economic growth. So many things. And diversification, all while offering new opportunities for people to connect with the natural world. Sounds very exciting, and it is. Since 1998, nearly 75 miles of trails have been created in the Downriver area. Our current trail system includes over 100 miles of both water and land trails that reach within half a mile of every downriver home. That's phenomenal, and it's definitely unique living not just in downriver but the entire state of Michigan community. Downriver trails traverse through both rural, urban settings, along with flowing through 7,000 acres of parkland. Amazing. Not many regions can offer that much for touring and tasting an area that's poised to be discovered. Our guest panel for today's discussion are all professionally and personally involved in the wealth of downriver water and trailways. So I'm going to begin by introducing today's guest, who we're very excited to have with us. And I'm going to start with Danielle Mauter. I hope I have your last name correct, you Danielle. Do. Great, very good. Danielle is the Chief of Marketing and Communications for the Huron-Clinton Metro Park System, comprised of 13 unique parks along the Huron and Clinton rivers in Livingston, Macomb, Oakland, Washtenaw, and Wayne counties. We're fortunate to have 3 of those here in the Downriver area, and I might add also there's some outstanding golf courses that we have owned and operated by the Metro Parks as well. But those 3 Metro Parks in the Downriver region are Lake Erie Metro Park in Brownstown, and then also both Willow and Oakwoods Metro Parks in Huron Township and also Van Buren Township, if I have that correct. And then we'll mention real quickly about the golf courses as well. But these parks are where visitors find opportunities for just about every outdoor recreation activity. They also provide educational resources on science, nature, history, and the environment, along with energizing outdoor experiences for both the young and old. And then also, before we introduce our next guest, also mention that the Metro Parks are a phenomenal and longtime partner of the Southern Wayne County Regional Chamber, and we appreciate your membership and your partnership with the Chamber. So welcome, Danielle. Good to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Our next guest is Wendi Pate, who in the middle here, another great partner and member of the Chamber. Thanks, Wendi, for being here. Wendi is a member of the Trenton Trailtown Advisory Committee since 2018. After retiring from teaching over 25 years, that's phenomenal, Wendi, and working on the committee, she decided to run for city council and help elevate the goals of Trailtown. This past year, she took on the role of Mayor Pro Tem. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And when our good friend Joann Gonyea retired in 2021, you took on the role of co-chair of the Trailtown Committee. And your duties for the Trailtown Committee keep the ball rolling in the city of Trenton. So Wendi, welcome to the panel today. It's great to have you.
Thanks so much for having me.
And our next guest, also a longtime business owner in the Downriver community, Al Petri. Great to have you as well, Al. Al is the owner of Al Petri and Sons Bicycles in Woodhaven, and I believe you started in Lincoln Park.
We did.
For many years. A Downriver business icon, as I mentioned, since 1946, that serves all types of cyclists, including new and veteran riders, road and mountain always get that, pronounce that word wrong, aficionados, and recreation and transportation cyclists. It's the place downriver for all of your cycling needs. So Al Petri, welcome to the panel as well.
Glad to be here.
It's great to have all 3 of you, and as I mentioned earlier, we're very excited about today's discussion. I think there's so much that we can talk about when it comes to the waterways and the trailways and the economic impact, and really the impact on our overall quality of life is nothing short of absolutely phenomenal, I think, for all Downriver residents and visitors. So trails deliver a wide range of benefits, including increased business, enhanced quality of life, higher property values, and improved public health, which I think is also very important. So let's start today's discussion with an appropriate quote. That is, walking is mankind's best medicine. Any idea who said that? Any quick guesses?
Sorry, no.
So thanks to our amazing producer, I do know who that is. So thank you, Rich Williams, for providing the answer. The answer is, it's a quote from the ancient Greek physician Hippocrates. And it's a very good quote, and definitely something that I think is going to relate to today's conversation. Hey, there he is. He's on the screen. Great. So even in the 4th century, it was no secret that trails could promote great health. So I'm going to be beginning with Danielle. Speaking of health, the pandemic spawned a surge in demand for outdoor activities. Our Metro Parks undoubtedly saw that increase and has that increased demand continued into 2022.
Absolutely. So in 2020, when the pandemic first started, we saw an increase of right around 30% for our average attendance at the Metro Parks. It was extremely large increase compared to what we've seen year over year. And even in 2021, we saw attendance be right around 11% higher than average. Granted, we're just coming up to busy season, so this weekend being Memorial Day weekend, the parks will really kick off the summer season.
Sure. Yeah.
And we're anticipating it to be another busy one. Even through the spring, the golf courses have been extremely busy. So those that discovered the parks in the pandemic, they're still there and enjoying them.
Good point. And we kind of touched on the golf courses in the introduction. But I believe there's 2 phenomenal Metro Park golf courses in the Downriver region. Could you mention those and maybe talk about those for a minute?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have 2 golf courses in Downriver, one at Lake Erie Metro Park. So each of our golf courses has a little bit different of a scenery, a little bit different of an experience. So it gives you the chance to kind of travel around the region and have some different experiences. And then our other one is at Willow.
Okay.
In the springtime is challenging at Willow because it's very close to the river, so it's often flooded. So we just recommend check our website before you head out to one of those courses. Make sure there's no flooding going on.
Great. Yeah, we've so at the Southern Wayne County Regional Chamber, we've done networking events at the Lake Erie Metro Park Golf Course.
Yes.
So we've done the 9-hole golf outing experience with a lot of our business members, and they absolutely love the Lake Erie Metro Park Golf Course. It's a phenomenal golfing experience, and Willow is is as well. Both amazing golf courses. I think the entire system, Metro Parks, just does a phenomenal job with the golfing experience. Next question for you. Downriver is privileged to have 3 different Metro Parks in our area, as we mentioned, and that's quite impressive, by the way, because I wonder what region of communities can say, hey, we have 3 amazing Metro Parks. So just a quick side note. Can you give us a quick overview on Lake Erie, Oakwoods, and Willow Metro Parks, and what kind of experiences you provide to the community and things like that?
The great thing about the Metro Parks is, much like the golf courses, each one's a little bit unique and different. They have a different environment. So when you start down at Lake Erie, it's on Lake Erie.
Yeah.
So you've got the big water views, you've got paved trails, there's a Marshlands Museum with educational programming year-round. In the summertime, there's the golf course. Well, I guess spring, summer, and fall, you can golf. There's even a marina. So if you're a boater, you can stay right there and experience the entire park. As you travel a little further away and you get into Oakwoods Metro Park, it's a completely different experience. It's out in the woods. It's very secluded, quiet trails. There is a nature center with programming there as well, but it's a little more secluded experience, a little more quiet experience.
It's amazing that, sorry to interrupt you, Danielle, but each Metro Park provides its own unique experience.
It does.
Which is phenomenal to me.
It is, and we often get visitors who take on the Metro Parks Challenge and try to visit all 13.
Yeah.
Because it is 13 different experiences.
Right.
But even in the Downriver area, each of the 3 is a little bit different. When you get into Willow, it's kind of in between the 2. It's got some secluded areas with nature trails and paved trails throughout, but it's got some more built structures as well, including a pool facility and food bars. So that's really popular in the summer. Picnic shelters and sports courts and lots of open space to have events as well.
And I think is Oakwoods, does Oakwoods have that large splash pad as well, or is it Willow?
Willow is the one that has the pool. There's a large playground, but it's at Lower Huron Metro Park.
Okay.
And Turtle Cove is at Lower
Turtle
Huron
Cove,
as
that's
well.
the one I was thinking of. Yeah, I just love going there. We were there. It wasn't open yet, but we were there a couple of weeks ago, and they were kind of preparing it for the summer season, and it's just a great place to bring the kids and the whole family.
Yes.
The other thing is with Lake Erie Metro Park, and I visit all 3 all the time. And when I go to Willow and Oakwood, I always love to visit our good friends at Doc's Ice Cream Shop in downtown New Boston, who are great chamber members. But Lake Erie Metro Park is so amazing because when you go there, and we were talking about this, I think, on the last podcast, downriver shipping and Great Lakes shipping and things like that. You can see the big freighters coming in off of Lake Erie into the Detroit River Channel, or the other vice versa, coming from the Detroit River Channel into Lake Erie. And then I think you can see the Detroit River Lighthouse from the Lake Erie Metro Park as well. And that's if you're a boat nerd, which I am, and you love watching the big ships on the Great Lakes, Lake Erie Metro Park is one of the best and most premier spots to watch Great Lake shipping in action. It's awesome.
It is always surprising to me how many people can watch freighters.
Yeah, I'm one of those nerds.
And yes, it's a great spot for it. And in addition, there's a coastal marsh in Lake Erie, so you kind of get the experience of Great Lakes shipping and that more natural marsh, which is actually a unique habitat for anywhere.
That's great. And then you mentioned the museum as well as at Lake Erie Metro Parks. And I've been there several times, and every time you go there, it really, truly is a unique experience as well. And it's an excellent museum, very well done. And I know there's different classrooms there. And how can people experience the museum? Do you have to buy a ticket? And can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So the museum is. Instead of a nature center at Lake Erie Metro Park, we have the Marshlands Museum. So our interpretive staff operate there. There's no ticket required. So once you get into the Metro Park, which is either a daily or annual pass, you have to pay to get into the park, you can visit the museum for free. And there is a full calendar of programming.
Yep.
So you can either self-guide around the museum or let our interpretive staff teach you a little bit more in a guided program.
Great. So Huron-Clinton Metro Parks, obviously named after the Huron and the Clinton rivers.
Yep.
And today we're talking about trailways through Downriver. So are the three Metro Parks, are they all connected by the Downriver Link Greenway trailways?
They absolutely are. They are connected by Downriver Link Greenways, which is also a part of the sections of the Iron Bell Trail, the statewide version as well. So you can actually get to all three of those Metro Parks on paved trail.
And how long are do you know how long the trails are in each park? Like how many miles of trailways and things like that we can experience?
You're going to test me.
Yes.
I don't know if I have the exact number off the top of my head. It's honestly a little bit difficult to count because the paved
but it's a big
trail,
number.
It's a big number. Lots of miles of trail.
That's a good answer. Lots of miles of trails. And yes, we're going to test you because this is the Destination Downriver podcast, and that's what we do here. So, Al, I'm going to look at or turn things over to you for a moment. As one of our long-time business owners in the region, I know trailways and waterways are very important to you know that to our local economy. So people are rediscovering the joys of being outside and using the trailways. And places like our Metro Parks are a perfect match for that growth spurt. What we've learned from all the national trail studies, and I want to get this in because this is important, visitor census work, is that the most type of trail use is now overwhelmingly bicycle, and I believe it's 75% now of trail users are on bicycles. I imagine that the demand for bikes is continuing to grow. Is that correct?
It is. And you know, you're right. Bicycles are really driving trail use, both nationally and locally. It's happening at the Metro Parks. It's happening all around the country. People are looking for easy ways to get outside, enjoy the outdoors, have something that's fun to do, that gets them into shape, and is eco-friendly at the same time. So trail use is just way up among bicyclists. During the pandemic, the peak of the pandemic, people were just anxious for ways. They were desperate for ways to get outside and do something that was healthy.
You can only cut your grass so many times.
Yeah,
you got to do something else.
So and that really drove demand for bicycles way up. I've never seen it like this before. It's created a worldwide bike boom. We have interest in bikes that is just unprecedented. It's been, I would say, somewhere the past 2 years, I believe the industry's average has gone up in what's been sold by 50% in the last 2 years.
Wow.
And so, it's especially with gas prices, I don't see any sign of that slowing down.
Yeah.
People are using bikes as a means of transportation to not only get healthy, but also, save some money at the pump.
Yeah. So the air you put in your tires, your bicycle tires, is a little bit cheaper than putting gas in the car.
Absolutely.
Huh? Yeah. I can imagine. So we have a big day coming up in the Downriver region on June 4th, Saturday, June 4th. We have an event called the Tour de Tom. And Danielle, you're a big part of this, and it's just a phenomenal experience to explore the southern portion of the Downriver region, starting in downtown Flat Rock and going to the Lake Erie Metro Park, with none other than Tom Dalton, who is the host of Under the Radar Michigan on PBS, 10-time Emmy Award winning TV show. So the Tour de Tom is a really exciting event. We have 50 bicyclists that are going to be coming and riding along the pathways along the the Downriver Link Greenways pathways. And so, Al, thinking about those 50 bike riders, what kind of bike would you recommend riding along those nicely paved pathways?
Well, for most people, especially people that are newer to cycling, we typically recommend what's called comfort hybrid bikes, which sit you upright a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's not like an old school cruiser from the 50s. It's a modern day bike, but you sit more upright. You're not leaned over the way that you are on the old 10-speed style bikes. They roll great, and they put a smile on everybody's face. They're just fun to ride. So.
Yeah, I've seen, I know some friends that have those e-bikes, electric bicycles. Have you been seeing a lot of those around lately, and are those pretty popular?
Yes, e-bike. The demand for e-bikes is actually e-bikes is the fastest growing segment in the market right now.
It's amazing.
The demand for them is just through the roof. It's unbelievable. And the biggest thing about e-bikes is there are 3 different classes. In Michigan, they have 3 classes of e-bikes. We only sell Class 1 and Class 3 at the store. Class 2 is a throttle-activated bike. And most of those are not allowed on trails anywhere. I think you'd be able to attest to that. You can't take a throttle-operated bike onto any trails. They're specifically for roadways, like you would see where the cars are at. So our bikes are pedal assist. And I would say you're probably looking, I do have about 30 of them in stock. But you're probably looking, if you want something specific, it could be a year or longer for a wait.
Oh, it's amazing. Wow. And I know a lot of people that are listening may not be familiar with what an e-bike is. Could you describe that to us?
There are 2 major ways that they put batteries and motors on the bikes. One is a motor underneath the crankset near the pedals. And as you pedal, the battery will drive the motor and increase the power to the crankset, which will increase the power to the rear wheel. And the other is a motor on the rear hub of the bike. The rear hub bikes are a little bit less expensive, but they don't feel as natural as riding a mid-drive bike. A mid-drive bike feels like a regular bicycle, just like you've got stronger legs.
Interesting. Wow.
And it multiplies your effort. So if you're you're putting 5 miles of energy into the bike, you can choose a setting and it will multiply that by 1 or 2 or 3 times. So if you can move pretty good on an e-bike, up to 20 miles an hour on a Class 1 and 28 on a Class 3.
It's very interesting. I know. So today we have autonomous vehicles. Do you see in the future, are we going to have self-driving bikes?
I haven't seen any plans for that anywhere, so that's beyond my. I'll be retired by the time. That happens.
And I don't know if any of us are ready for that, right? I mean, it might be a little bit too interesting for us. These past 2 years of COVID have driven up demand for Netflix, sweatpants to work, sporting equipment like bikes, things like that. It is still as challenging. Is it still as challenging to actually buy a new bike as it was during the height of the pandemic?
No, thank goodness.
Oh, that's good news.
Thank goodness. The demand is still incredibly high, but the supply chain has really tightened up quite a bit. A year ago, I might have 30 bikes in stock at any one time, and now I have over 500.
Oh, wow.
Still more arriving daily. So I have a lot of bikes for sale. The downside is some categories of bikes are still very difficult to get, especially the high-end gravel bikes and recreational racing bikes. Those are the $5,000-$6,000 bikes. Those are tough to get right now.
Yeah. Are the speaking of brands, is Schwinn still one of the most popular brands out there right now?
Well, Schwinn is certainly one of the largest number sold, but that's due to the fact that the Schwinn family lost the business years ago, and most of those bikes are now at the big box stores, so they sell a lot of them. It's not the same quality it was back in the 70s and 80s and 60s. We sell Trek bicycles and Electra bicycles, which are 2 of the most popular brands in the country.
Great. Yeah, that's great. Question for both Al and Wendi, and we're going to loop you into the conversation on Wendi because you're definitely one of our trail experts downriver. What are, in your opinion, what are some of the best trails to bike and walk in the Downriver region?
Well, I, of course, would be obliged to represent Trenton right now. So
Sure,
I think
of course.
Trenton, I think, is a great hub. There is a gateway opportunity at the Tourist Lodge, which is located on West Jefferson on the backside of Elizabeth Park.
Yeah.
And that is going to take you several different places. You can go as far north into through Wyandotte, River Rouge.
Yep.
Ecorse and River Rouge now have some bike lanes, and we're trying to get a few more down this way. You can also, from the Tourist Lodge, head down to my favorite spot, which is the International Wildlife Refuge.
Oh, of course.
And so you would need a bike to get there, perhaps, but from the Tourist Lodge. But you would stop and be able to walk through the refuge. They have 2 trails through the refuge. One's shorter, one's longer, and even the short trail just transforms you to a whole different world. It's just really makes you think about how different our waterfront has become in different places, and what we value and what we're heading back toward, and incorporating tourism and nature, and just throwing all your stress away, and just breathing the clean air and looking around at nature is pretty fabulous.
Definitely. And Elizabeth Park is just absolutely beautiful, and I know it's just such a major part of the Trenton community and really the Downriver community. And then the Tourist Lodge there. I mean, when you drive down Jefferson, you see that Torridge Lodge, and it's what a phenomenal venue that is in our region.
Yes, and thanks to Al Petri and Sons, they did donate a fix-it station, so you have that available.
Yep.
There are restrooms available there.
Those are becoming very popular, by the way, those fix-it stations. I'm seeing them all over down Riverview, Trenton, and Brownstown, all over the place.
And in the metro parks.
In the metro parks, yeah.
Yeah, we also have the water trails. So, we talk about biking and walking, which are great things to do in that area on the by the Tourist Lodge. But there's also a handicap accessible launch at the Tourist Lodge. There's also a handicap accessible launch at the Refuge. Yeah, and that's one of my favorite places also to kayak through is the Refuge. So.
That's great. Yeah. How about you, Al? Any recommendations?
Well, the Trenton ones that Wendi just described are right at the top of the list. In the four metro parks, not 3, we have Lower Huron, Oakwood, Lake Erie, and Willow.
Yes, thank you.
Connected.
Yep.
And they have fantastic trails to ride there. You can ride, not counting the Lake Erie section, you can ride 28 miles in and out just doing the other 3.
Yeah.
And you throw in going to Lake Erie, you really can get a nice day-long ride. Almost every community downriver has some sort of a trail. Lincoln Park has Council Point Park. It's a little short, but it's a great trail to ride on. Taylor around Heritage Park has some great trails. Personally, most of the people that I interact with really enjoy the metro parks. They go out to the metro parks almost on a weekly basis, some of them even more often than that. And the trails there are just great.
They are, and you're absolutely right. There's 4 metro parks, and sorry about that, Danielle, and for missing that, because they're absolutely phenomenal. And the trailways, there's so many trails that go through the metro parks, and you mentioned there's a lot of community like Lincoln Park that maybe people don't think about, and River Rouge and Ecorse is phenomenal trails that go along these different communities, and we definitely encourage everyone to explore those different trailways. And then for the entire panel, are there particular routes any of you could recommend for making a day of experiencing lots of what we have to offer here in the Downriver region memorable? And one thing that before you answer that question, one of the things that we constantly promote here at Destination Downriver is the idea of a daycation, and exploring a community, exploring the region in one day. And Downriver truly is one of those premier daycation destinations. So what do you think?
Who do you want to start?
Yeah. You want to start with you, Danielle?
Sure. So me personally, I actually really like the trails within Lower Huron and Willow Metro Parks, particularly in the spring, which we're still kind of in spring. We're getting kind of close to out of it, but through that section are all of the redbud trees, and when they're in full bloom, it's a really colorful view that you don't get to see very often, and it's right along the river. You can, with the family, go in and continue the ride to Oakwoods and experience the nature center, or not, and then connect into the local communities for lunch, and that's just a really nice experience.
Yeah, there's a lot that you can do different things as well. For example, you could start in Flat Rock, let's say, and you could do some fishing maybe in the Huron Park area.
Yep.
You could head over to one of the metro parks. You could head to the International Wildlife Refuge, and I believe the Refuge Visitor Center is now open, so you can go inside and look at their displays. You can head up to Trenton, perhaps grab a bite to eat. You can continue your journey through Wyandotte, do some shopping, and then you could end at the perhaps Dingle Park in Ecorse, and again looking at, or Bishop Park. There's so many parks, waterfront parks, that you could stop and you could picnic, you could watch the freighters like you like to do, and those things. So there's so many different things you can do. You can shop, you can eat, you can recreate, you can maybe even in Flat Rock, I believe they have some kayak rentals that you could do back
at
there.
Water Street
so
Tacos.
You can have a variety of experiences and make more of a day of it.
Yeah. So Al, I'm really curious about you. What would your daycation in the Downriver region look like?
Wendy just described it. I live 3 minutes from Huron Park, so she just described a day that I would head out on. You ride down to Huron Park, and then you either head towards Erie or take the connector into Oakwoods. That's what I would do personally.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I would love to do any of those. Sounds like a great experience. And we talked in the introduction. We talked about the economic impact. And when it comes to experiencing a daycation in a community, that truly has a big impact on our local small businesses as well. And so I want to talk about that for a moment with our wonderful panel here. And Downriver Link Greenways also offers a helpful concierge page on their website. I want to mention this for trail trip planning. And so you can access that website through the Destination Downriver website as well, which is destinationdownriver.com. Or you can see on your screen here, downrivertrails.org. And I highly recommend it. The site was built by one of our chamber members, by the way, and it's a phenomenal site where you can truly plan a daycation and explore the trails in the Downriver region. So let's talk more about some of the economic benefits that trails offer to communities. Metrics like increased business as well as increased opportunities for new businesses, along with the impact of trails on residential and commercial property values are a couple of notable findings in some national studies. According to recent national research, active outdoor recreation contributes, and listen to this, you guys are going to be blown away by this, contributes $730 billion annually to the U.S. economy. That's amazing. And it supports 6.5 million jobs and generates $88 billion in annual state and national tax revenue. So Wendi, question for you, how have the waterways and trails affected the communities in the Downriver region?
Well, I often think of the waterfront communities and where we're located. So, we have 180 degrees where some cities have 360 that they can, benefit from.
Sure, yeah.
So we've seen the commercialization of Allen Road and, kind of pulling people. First it was 4th Street, then it's Allen Road, perhaps it's going to be Telegraph or some other, pulling us away from the waterfront. So we have to think about how we're going to bring people back, and I think the trails have done that. We're a different kind of road per se that people want to travel. And so what it's done for Trenton is that it's actually, given a renewed interest to our downtown. We're looking at revitalizing the downtown, and we have 2 new gift shops, we have a new florist, we have 2 new restaurants going in, we have a potential housing development going in right on the corner of West and West Jefferson. So it's really revived the community and the interest. I know the city is working on making a gathering space in front of City Hall. We are looking at doing, we have a mural that's going up at the north end of town to welcome people into Trenton. And then we also are working on a gateway at I think it's at Walnut Street, right on the bend there as you go outside of Elizabeth Park. There'll be an archway and kiosk and perhaps even a kayak launch there. So,
oh, wow.
We've got quite a bit going on, wayfinding signage so people know where they're at on the trail and where they can go for amenities and so forth. So I think it's really going to bring people back to the waterfront communities and these niche businesses that can offer, unique shopping and unique dining that, just a commercial sense, sometimes people get tired of always going to the same restaurant. They can
Right.
come to something more unique and fabulous down in
And
Trenton.
truly that really makes Downriver so unique is that, the niche businesses and the small businesses that you find all throughout the region. And we're about to talk about our Trailtown communities of Trenton and Flat Rock. But Trenton and Wyandotte, Allen Park, others, Flat Rock and others, really have beautiful downtown districts. And with Trenton and Wyandotte particularly, you're right on the Detroit River.
Correct.
And it's so, it's so exciting to hear some of the developments that are coming for downtown Trenton. And you truly, when you go and visit these downtown areas, you find these very unique small businesses. And it's not your big box stores or, your chain restaurants. You can really have a unique cultural and restaurant and small business shopping experience when you come to our downriver communities like Trenton.
Right.
Yep.
Right, and I think they can take a piece of that back with them, and
Yep.
it's more memorable, and they want to come back and they want to see more.
Absolutely. So we are fortunate, as I mentioned a minute ago, to have two trail towns in the Downriver region with Trenton and Flat Rock as pure Michigan trail towns, which is a nationally, state rather,
yes.
recognition. Yeah,
Correct.
thank you. And it's along the nationally designated Huron River Water Trail, both communities. So what's the significance of having that sort of designation?
So what it does for us, this was created by the Michigan Trailways Act of 1994, which was updated in 2014. And so they asked communities to go through a rigorous process of basically, having a commitment to all what the trail is, but also what the community wants from the trail. So for example, hosting annual events involving the schools, having accessibility to the trail, walkability, connecting with other communities, having attractions along the trail, and having a sustainable business and marketing plan for the region. So, our former Parks and Rec director, Joann Gonyea, had put a lot of that together, and then the committee helped support her. Council passed a resolution in support of Trailtown, and so the state recognized all of our efforts in 2021, and we were the only town designated as a pure Michigan trail town in 2021. I just saw on the website, this is at michigan.gov/DNR/state trails and all the other slashes. I'm sure you'll get there if you Google it. But they just added 3 more towns, so we are now one of 11 in the state that has this significant designation. We get to use the Pure Michigan branding in Trenton for
which has a big impact,
in
terms of marketing promoting.
And like I said, we're on their website, so people around the state get to see who we are, and there's a link to our Trenton website for Trailtown, and they can check out the town. And this would be people that aren't just from downriver or the southeast Michigan region that are seeing this. So we're pretty honored to have received that designation, and we worked pretty hard to get that.
I was going to say it's not an easy designation to receive. And I know you and the team in Trenton have been working on this for probably several years, correct?
Correct.
Can you maybe describe that process and why, what kind of work goes into receiving that designation?
Yeah, so the Trailtown Committee meets, and you're welcome to join if you want to reach out. But the third Wednesday of every month, we meet at 8:30 a.m. We meet via Zoom, so I can easily get you a link. But pretty much the team of a diverse group of people have just, with the direction of Joann Gonyea, she said, okay, we need something to work on for the schools. This is one of the things we have to check off. So then the committee, took, somebody in the committee then took that role, reached out to the schools. The Trenton Business Association sponsors something called Action Bound. So actually Trenton has 7 tours that you can take using a free app called Action Bound, but we involve the students with that and the teachers, and showed them how to program it, and then the teachers can take their students out on these short tours, for example. And like I said, the council had to adopt a resolution supporting Trailtown, so there was just so many people doing so many different things. We have a tourist brochure, so one of the years we worked on that. We have a master plan, which is online at trentonmichigan.org, and so we basically just go through and we prioritized what we could get done quickly and what was most important. and we've just been checking off the boxes ever since.
Yeah, what a remarkable accomplishment. And like I said a minute ago, I know it's taken many years and a lot of hard work. And the Trenton community is just like every other community, of course, downriver, but it's truly dynamic. And the ability for such a diverse group of people to come together with a common goal to truly enhance the region and enhance the community is nothing short of remarkable. And congratulations to you and your team. I was so excited last year to be a part of the ribbon cutting for the Pure Michigan Trailtown
that was
celebration.
Very exciting. Yeah, and as you can see, we had so many partners, even
yes.
not just on the committee itself, but so many regional partners that helped support, finishing the trails so that we have a paved trail that goes to the refuge and doing these gaps and working with Downriver Greenways, and everybody's just been so supportive and wonderful in our efforts. So we appreciate
absolutely.
it. We were a pilot town. They chose Trenton as a pilot town, and we just got to work and did what we could to make it happen.
Yeah, and that designation has such a big impact on our local businesses. I'm sure, Al, you could talk a lot about that. And, and then the impact on the metro parks and, helping to draw more attention to our partners with the metro parks. And it's a great thing for Downriver. And thank you, Wendi, for working so hard to make that happen. You and the entire team in Trenton. That's great information, Wendi. And in traditional Star Trek fashion, we just beamed in or transported or teleported, however you want to word it, our good friend Joann Gonyea, and who just came out of the sky, out of nowhere.
Exactly.
So, wow, you truly, just magical.
Magic.
Wow. So, Joann, you were a big part of the designation of Pure Michigan Trailtown for the city of Trenton. And can you talk a little bit about that? Because, like I said, it was a tremendous amount of effort, many years that went into it, and it's having a phenomenal impact on the entire region.
Absolutely, Ron. And first of all, thank you for inviting me to be here today. And I'm retired from the city of Trenton, but still, I still have, looking at things from a distance, and I'm so proud of what the committee has done to continue the Trailtown and the trail system. It was a labor of love, truly a labor of love to get our Trailtown designation. We worked extremely hard, and it was a collaborative effort. Wendi spoke about our committee, the Trailtown Committee, and they are an amazing group of dedicated volunteers that come together from all walks of our community. And as Wendi mentioned, the Trailtown designation is huge for for our community. Having that Pure Michigan designation just elevates, our region. So yeah, it was a labor of love, and it took a lot of effort. It wasn't just a matter of just filling out some forms and sending it in. We tried for 1 year and didn't make it.
Right.
We spoke with the DNR, and they gave us really great information on how we could improve our application.
Sure. Well, and I remember, Dave Lorenz, who is, head of Travel Michigan and big part of the Pure Michigan campaign. A couple of years ago, we had him speaking at one of our chamber business forums. And so, Wendi, you were there. And I've shared this story before. Wendi, piped up and said, I have a question for Dave Lorenz. I want to know, why did we not receive the Pure Michigan Trail designation? And but you need people like Wendi who are passionate on the team to make things happen. And I think it was maybe a year later, maybe not even a year, Trenton received that designation. But my question for you is, we all know how much effort went into this. Why? Why is it so important to receive that Pure Michigan designation?
Well, I think that you can really leverage that Pure Michigan brand. Which really brings, it gives the trails some, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, legitimacy. Yes,
okay.
Exactly. Thank you for that word. Because we all know in our region, how important our trails are and how wonderful our community is.
Right.
But when you have that state designation, then you just open yourself up to the entire state of Michigan and beyond.
Right.
Because Pure Michigan is all over the country.
Well, and now it's international now.
Right,
it has an international presence and impact. And when you receive that designation and you're a part of the Pure Michigan campaign, it really does make all the difference, as you can
Absolutely.
attest to.
Yeah, and again, Canada right across the Detroit River from us,
Yeah.
and we have the International
Yeah.
Wildlife Refuge. So having that Pure Michigan brand just elevates the whole area and brings people in for tourism, and it helps out the economy, and it's a win-win.
Absolutely, and I think Joann Gonyea is probably the most famous name now in the Downriver region because you played such a big part of making that happen, and that's played such a big role in the continued enhancement of our Downriver community. So, and we wish you would come back from retirement. I'm going to keep trying to draw you back. Yeah.
Like I said, I'm here to help however I can, but I have to say I am enjoying retirement.
Sure.
It gives me the opportunity to
more time
get
to be out on the
those
trails in Downriver.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Great to have you with us, Joann.
Great
And we'll
to be
let
here.
you go back up to the sky.
Myself,
Yeah.
okay. Great. Thanks.
So I want to thank my guests, or my panel of guests, for being here today on the Destination Downriver podcast and vodcast for those who are watching us. We're so excited to continue to do this monthly podcast and talk about all the great things that are happening in the Downriver region, which we're never going to run out of content because there's so much happening in this region. And that's why we have a great partnership with our friends at Under the Radar Michigan, because there's so much happening here. They want to be a part of that, and they want to help us to promote it, and we're thrilled about that. And the other thing is, too, I keep mentioning about the impact, the economic impact on our region, but our small businesses here in the Downriver community are truly the ones that make things happen. And so good to have Al Petri here, one of our small business owners. And this podcast is a great way to continue to urge all of you to support local small businesses in your community, and especially here in the 18 Downriver communities that make up such a phenomenal region that we cherish here in our area. So thanks for listening, and thank you to our esteemed panel members and our guests. And I want to encourage you to visit the Destination Downriver website, www.destinationdownriver.com, and explore all the great things that are happening in our region, our unique small businesses and restaurants and shops, and of course the trailways and the waterways and the metro parks and all the great things that we have happening in the Downriver region. You can also find Destination Downriver on Facebook, which you can see a lot of the great things that are happening on a weekly basis on Facebook. And you can find more information there about next month's podcast, where we'll be talking about the return of festivals and events throughout the Downriver community. And that's an exciting topic, so you'll want to stay tuned for that one, because it's time to get back to enjoying the live music, food, and entertaining cultural experiences that our many area events in the Downriver community have to offer. So really excited about that one. And again, thank you to our sponsor, Allegra Print and Marketing in Wyandotte, Greg Kowalski. I know you're watching. We want to say a big thank you to you for your ongoing support of these great podcasts and vodcasts. And Allegra is where your marketing success can happen today. And also a special thanks to our production partners, Kathy Kane, Market Insights, and the beautiful, brand new, fairly new, I guess you can say, can't say brand new anymore, but fairly new, Taylor Media Center, who continues to do a tremendous job with producing these monthly podcasts and vodcasts for us. So thanks again to our friends at the Taylor Media Center. Again, my name is Ron Hinrichs. I've been your host, and we're looking forward to seeing you next month on the Destination Downriver podcast. Thanks. Have a great day.